You know, one of the things that we want to do at E3Wise is always give people the information about why we did things the way we did. A lot of people have commented about our systems and the ability to have auto tracking, dual axis auto tracking. Now, the systems are available and we design for them all the time, but what people don't understand is the significant costs that go behind them. In fact, let me give you an example. A dual axis auto tracker for a 6000 retails for somewhere between $3,500 and $4,000. Okay, if you can afford to do that, that's great. But if you're a family living on a fixed budget, a middle income family that wants to be able to maximize the amount of solar generation, we decided to give you the ability to do that. Now, let me make this clear. On all of our systems, they have the ability to recharge themselves off the sun in 3 to 4 hours without doing a thing. You simply put it at 20 degrees, point it straight south, and walk away. You never have to do anything else. The system will recharge itself 3 to 4 hours. But let's say you do have a long-term power outage. You're going to want to be able to generate every single watt available. And if you can't afford an expensive dual axis auto tracker, we decided to give you the ability to have manual tracking. Now, really, it's so simple, a 7-year-old child can do it. My grandchildren love to go out and move our solar panels because they're so much fun to play with. But as an adult, what you need to know is that by using that manual tracking system, you have the ability in less than 15 seconds, twice a day, to double the amount of generation possible. How does it do that? Well, let me give you an example. Let's say this is our 6000 50 amp system. In 3 to 4 hours, pointed straight south, it's going to generate 6,000 watts of electricity. But in a long-term power outage, what you have the ability to do is simply, first of all, come out and move these panels anywhere you've got sun. But more importantly, if you can follow the sun throughout the day, you're going to generate much more power. So we gave people manual tracking, and we made it as simple to use as possible. Our proprietary system has panels that have been balanced so that they can be moved with less than 5 pounds of force. All you do is come out, pull the pin, move it to the angle that you need, and put the pin back in. Literally 15 seconds. Now let me give you an example of why this is important. Recently, in Hutchinson County, Texas, there was a tornado that came in, was on the ground for 16 miles, and wiped out a huge amount of electrical lines. One of our customers was able to use this system to run their entire home for 5 days. Now, how did they do that? Simple. They came out twice a day, pulled a pin, moved the panels to perpendicular around noon, came out again, moved them to 30 degrees pointed west in the afternoon, and they were able to generate 12,000 watts of electricity. In fact, it worked so well that their children and grandchildren came and stayed with them because they were the only ones that had air conditioning and hot water and an electric stove. You see, yes, we do design for systems that use automatic tracking, and if you have the money to afford it, it is one of the best systems that you can possibly use. But if you're willing to put in 30 seconds worth of sweat equity, you can save that $3,500 to $5,000 simply by pulling a pin. Now, we have engineered these systems to be the most powerful, the most generation, the most storage, the longest run times, and shorter recharging times. You have the ability to recharge the systems from the grid by simply plugging into any standard power outlet. But you also have the ability to recharge them from the sun. They also come configured that in a plug-and-play configuration, you can add micro wind or micro hydro to them. Why is that important? Because it gives you the ability to throw that whole issue of variability right out the window. You see, when the sun's not shining, the wind's blowing, and the wind's blowing, sun's usually shining. So that gives people the ability to generate electricity even at night. And in micro hydro situations, they work phenomenally well. Let me give you an example. You pump the water to an elevated tower, and then using our micro hydro setup, as that water is drained and is given to the people that are using it, that micro turbine supplies electricity to recharge the batteries, meaning that that water tower is a giant storage for alternative energy. You see, we've thought about all the angles to make these the most efficient, most usable systems for not only here in the United States, but in the world. And if you want to be able to have a system that you can depend on for years and years, you need to be looking at the independent power provider. I'm Jeff Moore, e3wise.com.